Hi, everybody. Welcome to the JIBC Center for Leadership and Conflict Resolution information session. We're using a platform called Collaborate, and before we get started, I would just ask you if you can keep yourself muted while you're not speaking. That way there's no background noise and it's easier for everyone to follow the conversation. And if you wanted to speak up, then you're welcome to unmute yourself. In addition, you can also raise your hand using the icon at the very bottom of your screen. You'll see it has a picture of a person with a hand up, and you're welcome to put your hand up. If you all wanted to give it a try right now, just raise your hand so that I know you're with us. Great. Mimi, thank you. Yasmin, Maita, Sandra, Molly, Eduardo. Super. Okay. And you just click on to lower it once you're done. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Yasmin, did you have a question, or are you just testing it?
I was just testing it, sorry.
That's okay, perfect. Another way that you can get sort of chat or get to, if you had something to say, you can also respond in the chat box, and you'll find the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you don't see it there, you'll just have to click the purple. There's a little purple tab, and if you click that, along the bottom you'll see a panel that has a speech bubble, an icon with people that shows you all the people that are attending. And if you just click on the speech bubble, it'll open up a chat box and you can enter something in there. So that gives you a little bit of information. The session is going to be recorded just so that we can post it up onto our website, and you'll also be sent a link to the recording at the end, and then you can always come back and refer to it. My name is Sarah Turs, and I'm Program Manager of the Center for Leadership at JIBC. I'm also joined by two of my colleagues. We have Travis Wolf, who is Program Manager of Customized Conflict Resolution and Leadership Training. And we also have Shelley Jarmson, who is on the line, and she is going to help us out with any tech issues. So if you do find that you lose sound or something happens, feel free to just make a note in the text box or in the chat box, and Shelley can reach out to you. Shelley's also going to be monitoring our chat box for questions. So if you did have a question and you didn't want to raise your hand or speak up, no problem, just put it into the chat box, and when we have a pause, I'll get Shelley to bring up any of the questions that have come up. So with that, we're going to get started, and here we go. A land acknowledgement is an opportunity for us to show recognition of and respect for Indigenous peoples. So we would like to respectfully acknowledge that the Justice Institute of British Columbia's New Westminster campus is located on the unceded traditional territories of the Kakite, Musqueam, and Coast Salish people. Today we'll do a little bit of an introduction. We're going to talk a little bit about what we offer, our courses, explain a little bit about JIBC and how it may be different from other types of training. We'll talk about who takes our courses, and then we're going to go over some of the courses and our certificates in leadership and conflict resolution. I wanted to take a minute we'd love to hear from you and hear a little bit more about why you're attending the session. So if you could go to the very top left of your screen, you'll see that you have some tools across the top. And there's an arrow, a pointer, a pencil, a box, and a text tool. If you click on any of those, so if you click on the pencil, for example, you're going to be able to make a mark on the screen like that. And so what I'd like you to do is to take a minute and let us know which courses or what you are most interested in hearing about, and that'll help us guide what information we're giving you. If we notice that there's more people that are really looking at a particular area, then we might spend a little bit more time. So we have leadership courses, training and facilitation, conflict resolution courses, and mediation. So I'll just pause for a minute, and I'm going to give you a minute to go through and just make a check mark where are most interested. I didn't put all of the above, so you could put a check mark on each one. Okay. That's great, thank you. Looks like we've got quite a bit in leadership and conflict resolution. For those of you that might be interested in mediation, we don't have someone from Mediate BC here today. Sometimes we do in our information sessions, but we can give you a link to a past session where we did have someone from Mediate BC. We also have Travis Wolf here who's able to probably answer your questions, and we have a contact for Mediate BC, which we'll put up closer to the end of the presentation. And if you had specific questions, you'll be able to contact them directly. Travis, I'm going to just turn the mic over to you for a minute, just to do a quick introduction of yourself. And I'm going to put myself on mute.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Sarah. And I'm so glad that you all could join us here today. So my name is Travis Wolf. I'm a program manager both with the Center for Conflict Resolution and the Center for Leadership. I focus primarily on customized and contract training, but I'm going to be speaking a little bit about our ConRes programs and classes, as well as a few other points today. So to give you, some of you may already be familiar with the JIBC and what we offer, but for those who haven't had a chance to take our courses before or connect with us before, we did want to give you a little bit of background about what to expect in your experience. So we have, as Sarah mentioned, we have courses and programs in conflict resolution, leadership, training and facilitation, and then of course departments and centers outside of that as well. Historically, much of our training has been face-to-face, and we do still offer that selectively. We are transitioning more of our training to online and blended format as well. Our courses tend to be shorter in duration, so that's one of the ways, as Sarah mentioned, that we're a little bit different from some post-secondary institutions in that our courses aren't semester-based here. We tend to condense our courses, which will be between 1 and 5 days. And that's with the hope of giving folks a little bit more flexibility in terms of how they're scheduling them. You can take one course or a whole certificate, so you are not required to register in a certificate program. You can just take courses as you need them, try them out, see how they fit. And then if you really do connect with one of our programs, we encourage you to register and really take advantage of some of the services that we offer for students. And last but not least, as I mentioned, we also offer training for workplaces. So if you've taken a course at the JI and really liked your experience, keep in mind that any of our courses can also be customized and offered at your work to some of the teams that you support as well. We have quite a lot of flexibility in terms of how we go about that. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer that or connect later at a later time as well. So a few characteristics of our courses. They are flexible, part-time, and continuous intake. So as I mentioned, you can, for example, our foundational courses are offered multiple times throughout the year. So you don't necessarily need to sign up for a particular cohort or sign up at a particular time of the year. We almost always have offerings going on, and some of our course date documents are on our website if folks would like to take a look. We pride ourselves on being good value. And in terms of what you can expect for assessment, most of our courses are on a pass-fail basis. So what that means is when you enroll, really our goal is to get you to try out the skills, engage, participate, and provided that you attend the course in full and you are fully engaged in participating, you will pass the course. If you decide to take one of our certificate programs, the programs themselves do have an assessment at the end, and you would be provided more specific details about that when you register, including what to expect for rubrics and grading and assessment. As I mentioned, we are increasingly offering online training. It's still in the same condensed format currently, but this was really in an effort to, we were meeting the needs of folks during the pandemic, the COVID-19. So our face-to-face classes are done with smaller class sizes using social distancing and some barriers for protections for folks. Or we have the opportunity to do online training, which would be a combination of video conferencing such as this, where you'd get a chance to try out the skills, do small groups practice and debrief with coaches. And then we would have some asynchronous elements where you may have reflective assignments, videos to watch, journal entries, or discussion boards. So we really want to provide a wide variety of learning tools for folks to work with. Sarah, is there anything that you'd like to add in terms of our overall experience or classes?
I don't think so. I'm going to add a little bit more when we get to the next slide, just sort of building on what you've already started. So the JIBC learning model is really experiential and applied, and as Travis just mentioned, it really involves a lot of things like role plays and scenarios and its experiences, and we're able to do that both online using this Collaborate platform, and for our online classes, it's both synchronous, which is live using Collaborate, and a combination of asynchronous, so self-access materials. So that's something new for us, and we've had really great feedback. Students that have done our online courses so far. It's a different type of course, but we've managed, I think, to maintain that really experiential aspect, which does set us a little bit aside from other types of courses. The courses are really informed by research and student-centered, so we want students to we want them to get as much as they can. It's not just lecture, it's very much group-based and collaborative. It's designed for adult learners, so there is a difference, and I think that most students that go through the courses really do find that they relate well to the people that are in courses, and we'll talk a little bit about who takes courses, but there's really, you'll find yourself in a group of people very like-minded, all looking for professional development. And because of that, you end up learning from a lot of people in the classroom. So your classmates have great experiences. You're coming in with a lot of experience as well, and we use that in the courses to really build on it and practice some of the skills that you're getting. Instructors are often practitioners, so in the field of conflict resolution, they could be in private practice or have a private mediation practice. And those that teach in the leadership are often former leaders in business, or a lot of them are also involved in coaching, and they have their own consulting practices. So who takes our courses? The courses are really aimed at people that are either emerging leaders, so people that are looking for new skills in order to advance their career. It's also for people that are already managers or higher up in their organization, and they're looking for new perspectives and insights. And it could be those people who are really looking to aim for a career change and want to build a little bit more self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Throughout all of the courses, you'll learn how to improve relationships, build stronger organizations and communities, and gain skills to allow you to have difficult conversations and communicate more effectively. Also, people will go through the courses that are aspiring to be mediators or family mediators. And Travis, I'll pass it on to you to to explain a little bit more about the Center for Conflict Resolution.
Excellent, thank you. So a number of you mentioned interest in our conflict resolution programs, and this is a snapshot of some of our offerings. So to give you a little bit of info on each one, first is our Associate Certificate in Conflict Coaching, which is 12 days in total. This is designed for folks who are really focused on supporting other individuals work through conflict. So if you've ever had a colleague, a team member, somebody that you work with that has come to you with a conflict coaching is really a method of supporting them, asking reflective questions to help them really analyze and strategize about how they would like to address that conflict, and do so in a way that's going to be collaborative and meet their needs and the needs of the other party. We have an Associate Certificate in Workplace Conflict. Similar courses, these are designed primarily around the professional sphere and some of the conflict challenges that come up there. And then we have our two certificates in conflict resolution. One focuses on mediation and third-party intervention, and one focuses on negotiation. These two programs are quite similar in terms of course selection, depending on how you design your electives, and many people actually end up taking both of them. So they start out at the foundational level in terms of some of those basic skills. You then shift into either negotiation and or mediation. So negotiation being a two-party process where you attempt to get a win-win solution. And mediation, of course, being when you are assisting two or more parties in sorting out their conflict as a third person. These both end in an assessment, which includes a videotaped role play, as well as a couple of reflective pieces to sort of recap and reflect on some of your experiences during the program. Last but not least is our family mediation certificate. So this includes many of the same skills-based courses as our mediation and negotiation certificate, but also offers a lot of background information on areas such as family violence, effects of divorce and separation, some of the impacts and sort of wider context that's really important to note for folks who are planning on engaging in the family sphere. And we will have time for questions at the end, but by all means, if something pops up and about anything that we're offering, please feel free to raise your hand as we go along as well. And if there are no questions, I'll hand it back over to you, Sarah.
Great, thanks, Travis. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the Center for Leadership credentials. There's two that I'm going to talk about today. We have the Associate Certificate in Leadership and Conflict Resolution, and that is a 12-day, it's a 12 training days. And we have the Certificate in Applied Leadership, which is 20 training days. The great thing about the way that the certificates are set up is if you aren't sure which direction you wanted to go into, whether it was leadership or conflict resolution, you could actually start out with the Associate Certificate in Leadership and Conflict Resolution, which is a shorter, because it's an associate certificate, it's only 4 courses to start out. And then you can use those courses to leverage into the other certificates. If you decide that you're really interested in the conflict resolution and that's the direction you want to go, you can use the courses that you've already taken as part of that certificate. And the same for the Certificate in Applied Leadership. Great way to dip your toes into it, to see if it's what you want to do, and might give you more direction for either going into leadership or conflict resolution. So I'll start with the Associate Certificate in Leadership and Conflict Resolution. Really does pull courses from some of the core foundational courses from both the ConRes and the leadership. And the certificate, as I mentioned, is a great place to start, and it ladders into both of the larger certificates. The Certificate in Applied Leadership really begins the process of yourself and looking at who you are as a leader and how that impacts those around you. So it lets you focus a little bit more about your strengths and where you are as a leader and how to build on those skills. We then move on to leading through relationships and looking at the concepts around team building and situational leadership, and enhancing your skills in coaching conversation. Beyond that, we look into leadership sort of at an organizational level, and how you can have influence in your organization from whatever position you're in. Along the way, you also learn a lot of techniques to encourage creativity and innovative thinking within your team. The certificate concludes with an assessment, as Travis mentioned. Both of the associate certificate and the larger certificates end with an assessment. For the leadership, I think one of the highlights is the final assessment is the portfolio, and it really gives you the opportunity to delve deep into your own understanding of leadership, and you're able to see your growth through the certificate, through the program, through the courses, and tie it into your personal and professional life. And at the end, you end up with a portfolio of your experiences. And it's a really great example of your artifact showing your growth and your leadership growth throughout the program. So that's one of the highlights at the end of the program. The other highlight is we offer the final course in the certificate is a simulation, and the simulation is a great opportunity. You're working with a group, and it's done through video scenarios, and you're presented with a scenario, and it's a little bit like choose your own adventure. With your group, you'll be presented a scenario, and you'll have to work through that with your group and try to find a solution. You pull on all of the skills that you've built throughout the courses that you've taken to come up with a solution, and you present that solution, and yours might be different than a different group that's working, depending on who's there. It's really an impactful course. It's a full 2-day course, and really by the end of it, you've had a chance to review everything you've done within the certificate. We get great feedback, and it's just a really great experience. I think, Travis, maybe we'll pause there for a second and see if anyone has any questions, and we'll just sort of open it up either in the chat. Shelley, if you wanted to jump in and let us know if there are any questions so far in the chat box.
So we have had a couple of questions. One of the students was asking about course credits. If our courses were credit-based, which I did answer in the chat for them. But we have a second inquiry asking about, there is a course being offered in Halifax at the Conflict Resolution Center called ThirdParty Neutral. I just did a quick look, and it looks like it's at St. Mary's University, Sobey School of Business. It's an in-person 2-day course. So I am going to let one of you who has more information answer that question. Do we have a course that would be equivalent or similar to third-party neutral?
First of all, Sandra, thank you for that question. I'm always curious to hear about other programs that are out there. I can't claim that I'm intimately familiar with the one at the Sobey School of Business. I suspect there would be similarities, although Shelley noted that it's a 2-day course. So even our introductory mediation course is actually a 3-day. So I suspect that there's a bit of a deeper dive here. Beyond that, I don't have enough familiarity with the program to really speak too much to the overlaps.
Actually, Travis, if I can just interrupt, sorry, I had a look and it looks like it, there has been some changes. It's in there managing conflict, so I think it's probably quite similar to our conflict resolution courses.
I don't know if that was helpful for you, Sandra, or not. Okay, good. Okay. Good.
Any other questions about the courses or the certificate that we offer in either leadership or in conflict resolution? Eduardo, go ahead. Eduardo, if you had a question, you might be on mute.
Eduardo's posted his question in the chat.
Okay.
So Eduardo has noted that he was a mediator in Saskatchewan with studies in conflict resolution, mediation, and negotiation. What is the best course or approach you can take? I think what I would encourage you to do is actually maybe reach out for a more one-on-one conversation with one of our staff members at the Center for Conflict Resolution, because there's a couple of ways that you could move forward with that. We do have a way of doing a past learning assessment to attempt to get people credit if they already have experience in the field or with similar courses. So they would take a bit of a closer look into what those courses look like and what some of your professional experience was, and maybe be able to offer you some transfer credit there. Of course. Byron notes that they're enrolled in says Contest 1100. Do you mean the Foundations of Collaborative Conflict Resolution? Is that the course? Perfect. Yes, so we just recently transitioned that into an online format. So there will be some similarities and some differences. So you will be covering all of the same topics in terms of the skills that you'll be learning, in terms of the format and sort of the process of engaging in difficult conversations. The way you engage in the course will be a little bit different than it would be in our face-to-face. Oh, here's some coughing in the background there. I hope everyone's okay. So our online offering of the CRES 1100, which is our Foundations of Collaborative Conflict Resolution. So it is still in the 3-day format. So the first day there will be a little bit more focus on information provision. It starts out with reflective pieces around your own conflict style, how we tend to engage in conflict on a knee-jerk level, what comes most naturally to us. You expand there into some of the skills that you can use to help set a collaborative tone, to build trust. And then how do we step into a difficult conversation in a way that's going to feel genuine for us and that's going to make us feel confident in being able to work towards a collaborative resolution. Similar to the face-to-face, so it's 2 days that's a mix of independent readings, reflective assignments, videos, class discussions, case studies. You'll have practice opportunities, and then that third day is still a full day of role play. So you'll break into small groups of 4 to 5 folks, with each group having its own designated coach that will be able to give you feedback, to be able to help you walk through what went well, what was more challenging for you, and what learnings you might like to take away into your next course. How is that sounding, Byron? Did that give you the information that you were looking for? Excellent.
Okay. Great. Were there any other questions before we move on? Okay, Eduardo, since I'm taking undergraduate courses with JIBC and I need to take a couple of electives, I was wondering if you can choose some of your credit courses as an elective. So Eduardo, you'd want to check with your program. So our courses are electives within our credentials. We do offer credits, so a lot of the courses, if a course is a 3-day course, generally it's a 1.5 credit, but you'd have to confirm with your own program what they accept as electives. Super. Okay. Travis, I'm going to pass this part on to you. You're more familiar with the mediation, and although we don't have someone from Mediate BC here, I know that you're able to add a little bit of information and invite you to do that.
For sure. So I'll just speak about this briefly, and we have provided some links below where there are some excellent opportunities to reach out for more information if you're curious on practicing as a mediator. For those of you who are thinking about that as a career path, there's sort of a few things that tend to be trends in how people engage as a mediator. So the first is in private practice. Some folks will set up a business for themselves, and that way they're able to select what sort of disputes they want to engage with, what sort of groups they want to support, and how they would like to go about that. So that's sort of the independent entrepreneurial approach to it. Some folks will engage as an FJC, which stands for a Family Justice Counselor. And that essentially is more of a fixed job that you can engage in helping families work out parenting arrangements and such in support of families. It also mentions the Civil Resolution Tribunal, which is something in BC where folks engage in mediation opportunities as well. So those jobs are occasionally posted through government websites. You may see them in addition to other areas. The 3 resources that we've mentioned there are the Family Law Act. So family mediators have a few more requirements than general mediators. So if you're engaging outside of family mediation, there's actually no law that says you need X amount of training or you need X designation to practice as a mediator. In family mediation, in contrast, there actually are a number of requirements under the law. So it would be important to familiarize yourselves with those if you're aiming in that direction. And that's something that we would speak about in more detail in our family mediation certificate. The next link is Mediate BC, which is a provincial organization that looks to encourage and support folks in seeking out collaborative approaches to conflict, which includes public education. They also have a number of rosters that mediators will sometimes join. And this is a way of connecting folks with the public, letting the public know that they're available for selection, referrals, and they also offer some training and development opportunities to make sure that mediators stay up to date. And the intention is partially behind the rosters is to really ensure that there's public confidence in mediation. As I said, for some types of mediation, there's no real legal requirements for what they need. An association and a roster program like this helps to ensure that there's that minimally accepted level of competence, of standards of ethics and practice that really helps to build confidence in the profession. And last but not least is the Core Conflict Resolution Clinic. This is a local group that offers, they have a new mediators group that meets to connect and practice, and they also do some training and development of their own, just as a way of really build community among those who are looking to take their first steps into mediation. And I think I saw a couple of questions pop up here. Molly asked, how strong are mediation opportunities in the Lower Mainland? That's an excellent question, and I would say it varies. So as many folk are operating in private practice, sometimes it will depend what networks they're already tapped into and who it is that they're trying to serve. There are so many different kinds of mediation that folks can practice, and a lot of it ends up being, relying on the initiative of the individual mediator. So a lot of folks will tap into, for example, if they have contacts in the world of sports, they may become an expert in mediation for referrals in that area. If you have a background in insurance or finance, there's conflict opportunities for that as well. So it will vary a lot by what kind of mediation you're practicing, where your skill level is at, and what direction you're pointing in. I will say there's no shortage of conflict going on, which all of us can attest to. So there's certainly opportunities for mediators. It's more how we take advantage of them. And Shelley, did I miss any questions there? I heard a couple of dings, but I don't see, I think that's the last question that I see there.
Yeah, that was the last question.
Perfect. So I do, for those of you who are looking to practice as a mediator, I do encourage you to check out some of these organizations. You would discuss a lot of things around this if you take one of our courses as well, but it's really good to get a sense of what other supports and other resources and opportunities to connect with fellow practitioners are, as that's really an important part of the learning journey as well. And here we just have a slide on Mediate BC, which, as I mentioned, has the various roster programs as well as professional development opportunities for practitioners. So we, as Sarah mentioned in past versions of our information session, we have sometimes invited a speaker for Mediate BC. We don't have one here today, but as was mentioned, we did record one of our sessions, which we can provide a link for. And also, they're wonderful people to reach out and chat with directly if you have questions. All right. So what, if any, questions do folks have? All right. You're going really easy on us. So if you check out some of these resources and decide that you want some more information, whether that's about our programs in general or whether you'd like someone to help you with individual course planning that really works for your individual situation, please don't hesitate to reach out. We've listed a number of individuals here, but really reach out to anyone at our center and we'll make sure that you get to the right person to answer your question.
Thanks, Travis. And again, we will be sending this out, so you don't need to worry about writing down all the names. We'll send it out to you, so you've got it as a reference. I believe by tomorrow we'll be able to send out the information, the slides that were in this presentation, and we'll also send you a link to the past presentation that had someone from Mediate BC, if that's your interest. So at this point, I don't think we have anything else, but we're certainly happy to answer any individual questions again. If there's something that you wanted a little bit more depth on, we're happy to, we will stay on for a little while, and if you have all the information you need, then you're welcome to go, and thank you for joining us. We hope that we'll see you in one of our courses soon, and if you have other questions or you wanted to stay on and chat about something, please feel free to do so. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.